بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
So the next thing, we'll move on to the Microsoft Word. Now, Microsoft Word, MS Office, I'm not explaining why we use that. MS Office is used, Microsoft Word is used for documentations. Now, documentation is very important because when you are preparing presentation, that is to deliver the class, most of the time you use that, but you cannot open the document while during the class. So documentation is like a mix of everything in one file where you are going to cover a complete subject in one book. Kind of, you can see here, this is around 780 pages. It's one of the topic called software defined WAN, wired network. So these are all the contents what I cover, and they can use these URLs with the page numbers about the author and then these things. So I'll try to explain this template format, how you're going to do it, starting from the scratch. And in this, I'll go in a separate order, assuming you know the basic copy paste options. Basic options, I'm not getting into those things. So I'll try to show you the template options here. So let's go and click on new, the new document. Again, similar way you have in a PowerPoint, when you select a new file. Now this new file basically have these pre-designed templates. You can use these pre-designed templates. I never use them. Like if you're creating a certificate, you can just go ahead and use this format, and you can create one template and create one certificate, simple format. You don't need to really worry about creating the certificate for the students. If you are awarding with some certificate, you can use these templates. Or even if you're creating some documentations, you can also use these things. So if you're creating a profile, your own profile, you can use these predefined templates. But this is a little bit tricky, if you are new to this is something good, where you just add your information and use the same template without much efforts. But the problem is, again, you have to go with the exact style, everything according to that. So which is something I don't do it. I create my own presentation format and I create my own templates. So I go with the new option. Now, if you see the new option, basically when you start typing, there will be some text, which will be using some default font style, and the size will be default 11. This is the default one, and the default margins, everything will be the default. So the first thing what I will be doing here is, if you see, before I go ahead and create the document, I want to show you few prerequisite things you do before you start. Like here you can see there is again the logo, the watermark. So it's not a blank white page, it is a white page with a watermark, same like your letterhead, where everything comes on the top of it. So you can add your own watermark. So how to do that? Let's start with that. If you want to add a watermark, I think you have to go to layout, not layout, design. From the design, now these options will vary based on the versions what you are using. I'm using 2009 MS Office. So if you're using 2013, 2010, 2016 is also there. So the options will differ. Now you can add the watermark in the form of a name. So if you want to add the watermark in the form of a name, you can select any one of that watermark option, whatever the way you want to display. Like let's say I want this watermark. You can see it shows confidential. That's how it gray out. It shows in a gray out option. You can also edit this. So custom watermark. If you come down custom, then here you can add whatever the text you want. Let's say I want to add my company name, and you can change the style, whatever the style you want, the size. Normally it is gray out, semi-transparent, these settings. Horizontal, if you want to add, you can add horizontal, you can add diagonal, these options you can see. So this is one way of adding the watermark. If you don't have your own image or logo, you can add your details, you can email address, or maybe your email address because whenever someone using this document, if he finds it proper, maybe he may want you to approach for any trainings. This will be useful. So you must, when you prepare the documentations, it requires a lot of effort, but that is also a kind of promotion tool for you. So the more you do it, the more the people will use it, the more they will know. If it is good, definitely they will approach you. Okay, so try to create some documents and release them free of cost everywhere on the internet. Then automatically that will generate the revenue for you. So it's a kind of investment you have to do. So you don't need to invest a lot of money, but you have to invest a few things to get some kind of leads. Okay, so let's move on. You can also add the image. So if you have your own logo, then you can use this picture watermark and select the picture, and you can go and browse your computer and select the image, whatever the image you want to set. So this is, I think, let me see, where is my logo? Okay, so this is my logo and apply it. So this is how we use. So this is how you apply the watermark. That's the first thing I set. And the next thing is, if I come down, now the next thing, you can see here, header and footers. Now there are a few things you want on each and every page. Like here you can see, we call this as a footer. Footer is nothing but your information. Now again, as it is my document, I also want my company details to be displayed, and I don't want it as a watermark, but I want that to be displayed on every page. Now this is something I do here. This is called footer. Header footer means basically they displayed on your page, on every page, I can say. So anything displayed on the top of is called header, and anything displayed on the bottom of the page, we call it as a footer. And this information is something you may want to display. If you see the books, normally on the books, you will have a page number, you have the heading, those things, you know, textbooks, if you see, there are plenty of things you see on each and every page. So similar kind of thing you want to do, you can do it. But let me show you how to do on a new document here. You go to insert header and footer. Yeah, insert header and footer. Here you can see header and footer options. So there are defined templates as well you can use as per the new version. Here you can see this is how you can add with a color, and you can write down this is like SD-WAN, Cisco, Viptela, some product or the book name you can add on the top. And also if you want, you can add the page number as well on the top or on the bottom. I think there should be an option called insert page number. You can add the page number and that will change automatically. So insert the header, and there should be an option to insert the page number as well. Here you can see the page number. Wherever you want to display, you can add on the top of it or on the bottom, you can add that as well. So this is called header, and similar way you can add footer, or you can scroll down and double click on the bottom here. That is also another way you can add the footers. And here, whatever you want to add, you can add. Like here, I want to add my company name and then some information like your contact details. Let me copy paste from here. It's lengthy, so I'll try to copy paste these things here. So I got these settings. So just to differentiate your notes and your footer, I just added some background color over there, and even you can add the page numbers as well. So this is your header and footer option. So this is something you do for the once initially, and the other options. Now you need to decide. Now the next thing is, once we cover up the header and the footer, the next is we need to decide the standard colors and the fonts to be used in your document. Because if you see, this is, let's say this is my text, and I'll paste it normally as a plain text. So when you paste it as a plain text, the default will be this. This is how it looks. So if you see the font style and the color, means the font style and the size, it comes with a default one. I think the Calibri, that is a default font it uses. But you may not want to use that, because normally this is what I use in my current documentations. I prefer to use this font style as Century Gothic. That is a font style, and it should be italic, and the bold characters I use. And of course, there will be underline if it is a heading in red color. And the normal text should be in black. And even there are few other settings I use. If I go back to some other configurations here, like different things, different settings I use here. I think if you see, this is actually the output on that particular device. And if I have to do any configuration, let me show you the configuration. I use this way, some blue color, and then this basically differentiates that these are the commands you have to execute on the device. And some black color represent that is kind of output. Red color, even you can highlight few important points or important outputs. And if it is a question, then probably it's going to be in a red color. And if it is a heading, it will be in a different color style, like that. So you need to decide these things. All these things, once you decide, then you need to keep adjusting those things. So let's say I have decided these things. Now what I'll do is I'll select. Now these things, if you do initially, then it will make your job much easier. Like let's say this is some text. I'm selecting the complete text, and I'm using this style, and I want that to be in italic and also the bold. So I'm going to change these things. Now, once you do this, now automatically, whenever you add any new text from here, let's say I'm saying this is SD-WAN lab book. If you see here, automatically these things comes because it is a continuation. But let's say if I write somewhere else, now when I continue, it will be same, So that's a good thing. You don't need to make changes each and every time. So set those things initially. And let's say this is my heading. So I want this heading to be in a red color, and it should be in an underline. So you can adjust that. So these things you have to do. And also there is one more thing you need to do. You can see there is a lot of gap between the lines. So that is because of the paragraph spacing. So there is a paragraph spacing. Normally what I do is I select all the text, and here there is a paragraph option. I click here and I change these settings to 0 and the single line spacing. That's how I do. So when you do that, a single line spacing without any space, because every time you press enter, that becomes a next paragraph. So I don't want any kind of space. If you want some space, you can add some space like this, additional space like 6 points between each and every paragraph. Now this is more applicable when you are writing some notes, let's say in paragraphs. That's more applicable without pressing enter. But normally in my notes, I don't write paragraphs. I don't need it all paragraphs to write down. Mostly it will be in the form of points. That's something I do. So same thing, bullets, points, whatever you want, you can add the same thing here.